So exploring domain and range for this graph right here, which is an ellipse. So to do the domain and range, first of all, just I want you to know that when I write this as x, if you read it backwards, it's greater than or equal, and x is less than or equal this way, it just means x is between two numbers. That's what it means. But let's go back to this graph and do the domain and range. Now, what I want you to know is that, see this long thing here is a scanner. That's my scanner. So when I'm doing domain and range, so if I'm doing domain, I scan horizontally this way. So if I take this scanner right here and I start moving, and this scanner will only beep if it's touching the graph. So right at -5 starts beeping and it keeps on beeping, beep, and stops right there. So stops at 9. So that means your domain is between -5 and 9. Now, let's take the range now. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a different color scanner for the range. What I do, I scan vertically. So I go from the bottom up. So if I take this scanner right here and I start moving up, and this scanner beeps only when I touch the graph, when I hit right here, which is y equals 0, start beeping. So it's beep and stops right here. So my scanner beeped from 0 all the way to 8. And that is the domain and range for this graph. I'm going to show you another one. So now I'm doing the domain for this graph right here, which is just those pink dots all over the place here. Again, the green thing is my scanner. So when I'm doing domain, I'm scanning horizontally. So I'm moving this way here. So I take my scanner right here and start moving. Okay, and remember the scanner beeps every time you touch the graph. So you get that beep, stops, beep, stops, beep, stops, beep, stops, beep, stops, beep, stops, and that's it. So basically for this domain, all you need to tell me is just where did it beep. So the domain here, x equals, it beeped at -4 and at -2, and it beeped at x equals 0 and at x equals 3, and it beeped at x equals 5, and it beeped at x equals 8. So this is your domain. So for the range, of course, I scan vertically. So I'm going to start scanning right here. So I'm beeping beep right here at -4 and then nothing. And I beep at 0. And then I beep again at 2. Of course, it's not continuous beeping. And then I beep again at 5. And you only beep once, even though you have 2 points, you just have one beep right there. And then I beep again at 8 and I stop beeping. Therefore, the range here, you beeped at y equals -4. You beeped at y equals 0. You beeped at 2, at 5, and at 8. Again, even though we have 2 of them here, when I scanned this way, the scanner beeps once. You just tell me where the scanner beeped. It beeped at 5, not twice, it beeped once. So that's why we put the 5 just once. We don't write it twice. And that's how you do domain and range for these. So one more question here. This one looks kind of weird graph. It's, shaded circle here, and then it's open, and then this is shaded, this is open, shaded, open. So if it's shaded, that means it's included. So if you're writing an inequality sign, you have to write an equal sign. But if it's an open circle, then it's not included, and you don't write an equal sign because it doesn't equal that number right here. Okay. So I'll take my scanner, I start scanning, moving this way, so nothing, and then beep, Here it doesn't stop beeping because even though it's an open circle, but the bottom, the second one on from the top has a shaded circle, so it still beeps. So it's continuing to beep, beep. Again, here it's continuing to beep and beeping, 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 just before that number stops beeping. So this is an open circle, and that's where it stops. So therefore, starting for the domain, the beeping starts at -4 right here, and it finished at 9. 9 was not included because it's not a solid point. It's just an open point right there, which means the 9 is not included. Now, how about the range? The range, I'm going to use the scanner again, and I'm going to start scanning. So I take this and I start going, nothing, beeps right here, stops, beeps right there, stops, and beeps right there, stops. So it beeped basically at -2, at 4, and at 7. And that's a simple way of looking at the domain and range, because basically you're scanning your graph. You could go and explore other questions and try to do it that way. It seems to work for a lot of students doing domain and range that way because it makes sense. Also, you know, the domain, remember the domain is the X values, the range is the Y values. Thank you for watching. As always, math is like a puzzle, and puzzles are always fun to solve. Stay safe. Bye-bye.